This is the October 2016 Inherit the Earth Sand and Shadows Developers Report. I am Joe Pierce. Our video agenda for today is a development status update and some details about my trip to this year's World Science Fiction Convention. On the art front, all backgrounds needed for the Sand and Shadows demo are complete. So Ed Lackaban has started work on other backgrounds appearing later in Chapter 1 of the game. He is currently working on the exterior of Tycho Northpaw's home. Here is his concept art for the scene. As I mentioned in the last report, Ryan Paxton has provided the final frames for Riff's standard set of animations, idling, talking, and walking. Here we can see Riff walking in all four directions. I've been working on image compositing to allow for more varied animations.
How could I have allowed myself to be defeated by such a simple trick?
As you can see, Riff is both talking and gesturing independently. This is done by chopping up the images into separate pieces to be combined at runtime. The data about how the images are split and combined is set up in the Animation Composer tool. In mid-August, I attended Mid-Americon 2, the 74th World Science Fiction Convention, which was held this year in Kansas City, Missouri. My hotel was the Westin at Crown Center. Here's a picture from my room pointing downtown. I commuted to the convention center via a just recently completed trolley line that runs down the main drag of town, day and night. Here I am on the convention show floor. You may have already seen this picture if you follow Wormkeep on Twitter. One of the first things I did when I arrived after picking up my badge was to put out flyers for Inherit the Earth. At this point, I'm not going to go through my experiences at the con in necessarily chronological order. I'll start with the list of panels I attended in the order they occurred, mostly, with the rest of the photos grouped by location or theme. We'll begin with the opening ceremony, held in an area of the expo hall dubbed the Heinlein Stadium. The ceremony started with a jazz band passing through the audience. Did you know that Kansas City hosts a jazz museum? I toured it one afternoon. The convention's guests of honors were Kanuko Wildcraft, Michael Swanwick, Patrick and Teresa Nelson Hayden, Tamara Pierce, no relation, and Pat Cadigan. This year's convention chairman was Ruth Lixwart. The first panel I attended was on the topic of gaming. What a surprise! Titled Best Megabits in Gaming, the topic was the various technical merits of classic games. Next was a panel on crowdfunding your way to success in gaming, to which I can only cross my fingers. This panel was on amateur scientists doing real science. Knock on Wood, from Squirrel Girl to Lumberjanes, discussed the topic of comics targeted at young adults. Note that I am a fan of the unbeatable Squirrel Girl. This event was a performance by Phil and Katja Folio, and a cast of regulars and audience members, acting out radio plays based on the webcomic Girl Genius, for science. One of the highlights of Worldcon is the masquerade, a costume contest. The master of ceremonies for the masquerade was John Hertz, an accomplished costumer himself. A slideshow of the participants in this contest will be presented later in this video. Moving on, we have a comic book writer, a filmmaker, and a podcaster, analyzing the movie Batman vs. Superman. In addition to many other works, like Game of Thrones, George R.R. Martin is the creator of the shared universe Wildcards, where many writers contribute to the ongoing story. Here he has collected some of these authors for a death match between their characters, with the audience deciding who advances to the next round. The next two events I attended were both hosted by the same person, NASA astronaut Stan Love. The first was a tour of the NASA exhibit in the Expo Hall, which I'll get to later. The second was a presentation where he discussed why Mars is hard to get to, land on, and build a livable space on. One of the last panels of the entire con was Playback from Pluto, which is about recent news from NASA's New Horizons spacecraft flyby of the Pluto system. The last panel I will leave for later. I'm now going to move on to the exhibits in the Expo Hall. In the aforementioned Highline Stadium, we had a demonstration of Quidditch by the official sports club at the University of Kansas. Near that, a set of carnival games had been set up. And adjacent to that was the fan lounge. One area was set aside for guest of honor exhibits. A couple of the committees bidding for future Worldcons had set up little exhibits of their own. This is the one for New Zealand in 2020, and this was for San Jose in 2018. I should note that next year's Worldcon is being held in Helsinki, Finland, and because the Worldcon is out of North America, there will be a North American Science Fiction Convention, or NASFIC, held in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Here was a crafting area and a needlework area. This exhibit showed special editions of books provided to the armed forces. The movie Destination Planet Negro is a satire set in 1939 about an Afro-American intellectuals leaving the planet to colonize Mars. And on the subject of spaceships, here we have a scale model of the space shuttle. In the NASA exhibit, we have Food in Space. This was the area where astronaut Stan Love held a Q&A. There was a large gaming area in the expo hall. Here we see some miniatures set up for a dungeon crawl. Normally at Worldcons and other conventions, there are parties held in the evening. Normally these are held in the Con Hotel, but this year they were held in the expo hall, which was unusual. And we see even time travelers showed up for the parties. And here's the dealer's room. You could buy books, artwork, and other wares. Here were the winning designs for the Mid-Americon 2 Hugo Awards. And here we can see the Hugo designs from previous Worldcons. Here is a partial list of Hugo Award winners for 2016. The category in the lower right corner needs some explanation. First of all, a best related work is the best work related to the field of science fiction, fantasy, or fandom published in the prior calendar year, which is either nonfiction or noteworthy primarily for the aspects other than the fictional text. And this year, that award went to No Award. When voting for the Hugo Awards, every category allows you to vote No Award. And if No Award is the winner, well, no award is awarded. If you would like to know why this happened in this category and some other categories this year and in 2015, please check the description for this video for a link to a Wired article on the topic. And now here is that slideshow of masquerade entries. leaves us with the closing ceremonies, which included a presentation by the committee putting on the Helsinki convention. I don't go to Worldcons only to go to the convention. I also do sightseeing. Here's a picture of one of the places I had to visit, which was the Great Missouri River itself. I will probably create a video pictorial of my sightseeing in Kansas City sometime soon. And all that was left was to fly home. That's all for now.